and gentlemen. As always, I start off by saying that this series perhaps speaks more to the heart of the heart and soul of the Jewish community more than any other. It highlights the amazing organizations, the dedicated staff and volunteers who perform acts of kindness in a way that gives so much dignity to so many members of the Jewish community. It's really something that is certainly deserving to be highlighted. As mentioned, our hope through the series is to highlight that, number one, recognition and gratitude for the tremendous dedication and commitment that is very much due. And number two, through recognizing what is done, we can please God inspire each other to do a little bit more and to recognize that we actually all need each other and that every single one of us can make a difference. A short Dvar Torah, it's interesting to note that the sages refer to a human being as a hoylech, an entity that is moving. Each and every one of us are constantly moving. With that in mind, it's most interesting an observation of Rav Levi Yitzchak Mibedetchev, one of the great Hasidic masters, in the story relating to Avram Avinu and his visitors, that specifically the Torah tells us how Avram Avinu stood with them. Now, the significance of this is that Abraham knew that they were angels, and him choosing to stand with them is choosing not to highlight the difference between an angel and a human being. On face value, a person might think that to be angelic is more praiseworthy perhaps than being a human being. But guess what? To be a human being means there's an opportunity for growth in a way that even an angel can't comprehend. And so Avram Avinu stands together with the angels, and he does not put into their faces the fact that he is of a different stature. He does not put into their faces the fact that he is different and that he has this tremendous gift of life. The lesson, simply put, is it's not only about doing chesed, it's also about the way in which we do the chesed, how we do the chesed. And certainly it's been very inspiring to see over the last couple of weeks, and tonight is no different. Not just individuals who do chesed, but individuals who do chesed in the most beautiful way, a way filled with dignity, a way that is truly appropriate, and allows each and every single member of the community to feel and retain a feeling of being a mensch, because certainly they are. Without further ado, this evening, Shira Silberman and the Chaya Esther breast pump Gemach and Monty Arenstein of Colel Chabad, interviewed by Rob Katz. Before I hand over to Rob, I want to take the opportunity to say a very happy birthday to Monty Arenstein. Please God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should bless you with many, many more years, happiness and health, and continue. Mechayel el Chayel. Without further ado, Rob Katz.
Thank you, Rabbi, and a warm welcome to our two participants tonight, namely Shira Silberman and Monty Arenstein, and a warm welcome to all our participants. Just always to remind our participants, please feel very free at any time to comment or ask questions. If the questions are relevant, I will certainly pass them on to the participants. So our intention is that this is your show, and we would like to certainly do justice to whatever the community out there wants to know, so as to get further information. Before I go on, a warm welcome to Shira and to Monty. Monty, from myself also, happy birthday. Bis 120 mit gesund in dein Kopf, Hashem's brochas only. Welcome to the show. So this is the first. There are three firsts tonight. First is that the first time we're having a father and daughter. We've never had that before. So that's great. Shira, it's the first time we're ever interviewing anybody from the base. Shira's, we've proudly present Shira from the base, a proud community of our base community. Shira's well known to the base community. Shira did all the logistics for the Mort Perloff Shira, not only at the base, but at other shuls as well. So Shira, we're very, very happy for that, and we're delighted to welcome you basically to our home series. Shira, it's a delight to have you, as always. And the first that we ever celebrate a birthday. So Monty, as I said, on behalf of everybody, a very, very a big mazel tov to you. Please God, many more in good health. I speak on behalf of the wider community.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Shira, let's start off with you. So we're actually going to speak about a Gemach later when I speak to your dad. But just first of all, we're talking about the Chaya Esther breast pump Gemach. So first of all, there are viewers out here that don't know what a Gemach is. So maybe you want to just explain right up front what a Gemach is, and also, just lay the foundation so we can have further questionings going forward. And then the audience can also have further questioning about what the Chaya Esther breast pump Gemach is. And I must come clean, is that I had never heard of it before. So, I'm sure that there are quite a couple of our participants that also haven't. So, Shira, take your time. There's no rush, but let's do due justice to what actually is the organization. And then at the same time, you can just answer what a Gemach is.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank Rabbi Aaron, Gila, and Alan Zilberg for all that you do for the base community. And thank you to Rob Katz for interviewing my father and tonight. It is very special for me to be doing this interview with my father. As you all know, tonight is a special night because it's my father's Hebrew birthday. So happy birthday, Abba. 75 years. So my father has inspired me to find a chesed that I enjoy doing very much. I grew up counting the coins from the many Colel Chabad tzedakah right here in the study where I'm sitting right now together with my siblings. I'm very grateful to my parents for showing me how important it is to be kind to others. One of my goals in running the Gemach is to do the same for my children. I would like them to follow in these footsteps of Chesed. So the Chaya Esther baby Gemach started about 24 years ago in the zchut, the merit of the late Adele Tabak, by a good friend of mine, Michelle. It was fitting for Michelle to start this Gemach in the memory of the late Adele Tabak, as she was an antenatal teacher and assisted many mothers with their babies. The Chaya Esther breast pump Gemach officially became part of the baby Gemach about 8 years ago. I had my first experience using a breast pump when my twin son, Eitan, who is 9 years old now, was in the neonatal ICU. I couldn't feed him properly, so I expressed for him through a good quality breast pump, and he was able to be successfully fed while his twin sister remained with me. So that was my first experience with a breast pump. And soon after I had my twins, I went to the Chaya Esther baby Gemach because I didn't think it was necessary to buy two of everything. While I was walking around the storeroom, I noticed that there were two very good quality pumps. And a friend of mine recently gave birth, and I asked the ladies that were running the Gemach if it would be possible for her to use that pump. And they didn't even know if the pump worked. They didn't know anything about pumps. So they said with absolute pleasure. And soon after that, I asked them if I could be part of the baby Gemach and if I could manage the breast pumps within the Chaya Esther baby Gemach. And now it's years later, there are currently about 32 babies being fed by the Chaya Esther breast pump Gemach, and these babies are made up of singletons, multiples, and premature babies. Some of the babies in the Park Lane are being fed as we speak by the breast pumps that I provide to mothers in the community. Now, you mentioned, what is a Gemach? So the translation of a Gemach is a free loan. It's a free loan fund, correct? So, yeah. But in the case of my Gemach, there is a donation fee. There's a donation fee of 300 Rand. So every time a mother requests a pump, I ask for a donation fee. But if a mother cannot afford that, they won't be deprived of a pump. I have never ever said no in all the years of running my Gemach to any mother. I will make sure that I can get a pump to every Jewish mother in the community that needs one as soon as possible. So that's the meaning behind the name Chaya Esther and what a Gemach is. So there are cases in the community where mothers can't afford to buy top quality pumps or hire them. So they approach me and I make one available for them.
Wonderful, Shira. Great. Shira, let's just take a step back, okay? And perhaps ask this question. Why is it important for mothers to feed through their babies through the Gemach as opposed to, the stock standard formula that we all know?
Okay, so there's many answers to that.
You feel free to give them any.
Okay.
Because I don't know one.
Okay. Okay, so it's a healthier option for babies. No formula can replicate a mother's colostrum and breast milk. It is the best option for most babies, and the benefits are endless. It's good for the baby and it's good for the mother. Yeah, as you can see, that's a collage I made last year of pictures of babies that have benefited from the Gemach. Also, the benefits of breast milk are lifelong. It's not just for the first year. That they are endless. There are so many nutrients within the breast milk. And also it helps mothers that aren't able to do it directly to feel like they are doing something for their baby.
Right. And Shira, I know that this question is going to come, but, at the end of the show, we will have your contact details, and I assume that you're the contact person, people that will phone for assistance.
Yeah. I actually had to reflect this afternoon.
Okay, great. Because I think we're creating a heap load of an awareness tonight.
Yeah. So that, I have limited amounts of pumps. I've got about 25 altogether. And these are hospital grade pumps. They're not just any pumps that you buy from Dis-Chem. They have to be top quality pumps in order that they are safe and hygienic for the mothers and babies. And so they can have multiple users. Yeah.
Wonderful. Shira, premature babies, what do we do there?
So that I often
How do we assist
from premature babies, and it's often not expected. This often happens with multiples, babies born at 29 weeks or 30 weeks. It's so what happens is they contact me and I make sure that there is a pump for them. It's very important that the premature babies get the breast milk. As you can see here is a picture of one of my beloved babies. That's the picture to the left is of when the day he was born, and that's a current picture of the special prince 5 months later. So you can see the rolls and the bunny baby. So that's the goal in order to give them best. Now, when the babies are in the neonatal ICU, it's there's a lot of requirements. There's a lot of requirements. For example, the milk has to be as fresh as possible. So not only do I provide the mothers with the best quality pump, but I give them a cooler bag with an ice pack, so it can be as fresh. The milk can be as fresh as possible. As the premature baby gets older, there is a chance that baby can feed directly from their mother. So because the mothers that have approached me have been using the pump since the start, when that time arrives, they are able to feed their baby, to continue feeding, because they were expressing from the beginning. Their supply didn't stop. So on average, I have babies that are using the pump over 6 months, sometimes 8 months. They're usually, the time limit is about a year. Sometimes it's over a year, as I don't have enough pumps to supply the demand. So whenever a mother receives a pump from me, they have to fill out a form, which my father helped me to put together. And on the form, it mentions that if there is a newborn emergency, a newborn baby that needs a pump, and their baby is the oldest baby, then they would have to return it. I really don't like to do that. I don't like to take away a pump from someone that is using it. So in that case, I try raise money to buy a new one, or I try ask other mothers how often are they using it, is a pump available, so I don't have to take one away from somebody else. And sometimes mothers get quite upset if I do ask, because they're like, how can you take my baby's food away, which is really hard to do. So then it gives me an incentive to keep on growing my Gemach and to buy more pumps. Yeah.
Amazing. You know, I need to interject. It will be totally and utterly remiss of myself not to make this point, because this is a unique event that we've got here, where dad and daughter are on the show, and daughters most definitely learn from dad. I want to tell you something, Shira, that 30 years ago, my first foray into communal work was actually working with your dad on a Gemach, the Hasidim Gemach in Yeovil. And there were 4 of us, myself, your dad, and 2 others. And we used to have to send the signed financials. I was the accountant in those days of that, and I used to have to send the financials to the Lubavitcher Rebbe in New York, Zachat Tzadik Livrocha. And he used to look for bad debts written off and no money in the bank account, because bad debts written off meant you were running the Gemach with Chesed and Rachamim, and no money in the bank account meant that you were looking for Jews to help. And I don't know if I asked your father or one of the other 2 trustees, namely Manny Dorky and Koppel Bach, well, what if we got no money in the bank account and then the next Yid comes? So that's really what the story that you've described. And the answer given to me was, don't you worry. If you're running this thing with the Yiddish and a Shoma and you're doing it properly, Hashem will make sure that you don't run out of money. And, you know, 30 years later, we've never run out of money. So, you know, please God, you know, and I'm no doubt that you're running this thing properly. I've got no doubt you'll run out of money.
And also, I just want to mention there's been so many miracles that I've witnessed through running this Gemach. At times, I don't have any pumps available, and I get one dropped off, and within a very short time afterwards, someone needs one. And I can't even count how many times that has happened. And
amazing.
It's amazing, yeah. Baruch Hashem. It's even.
Well, I'll tell you what's amazing. What's amazing is that the father's taught the daughter how to run a Gemach. That's quite clear. Okay.
And
moving on, Shira. Who can approach the Gemach for assistance?
So any mother within the community can approach the Gemach. They can phone me, they can WhatsApp me, and I will do my best to make one available as soon as possible, according to the highest levels of hygiene. I won't let a mother use something that I won't use myself.
Okay. Shira, a question that's always comes from the floor is that, you know, what if you're outside of Johannesburg? Because by and large, the questions, the people that I'm talking to are Johannesburg based. Is there a demand for this outside of Johannesburg?
Yes.
Are you able to help or
yes.
not?
I have had mothers come from Pretoria to use pumps, and I have sent parts to Cape Town. And now these pumps, the make is called Medila. They are imported from Switzerland and America. They are very expensive, but since I've been a customer of Medila for many years, I do get wholesale prices. So if somebody were to come to me for parts, it would be a lot cheaper than going to Take a Lot or Dis-Chem. So
Shira, we actually have had a question from the floor. And the question from the floor is, how much does a new one of these particular breast pumps cost?
Okay, so the most expensive one that I have, it's known as the Medila Symphony. That is 21,000 Rand. Okay,
right.
And the Medila Lactina, that is 9,000 Rand. The yellow one is the Symphony. That's 21,000, and the blue one is 9,000 Rand. These are hospital grade pumps, so they have a closed system, so none of the breast milk can go inside. So it allows for multiple users.
Okay, so we've got two options in answer to that question, from 9,000 Rand and 21,000 Rand. Shira, my final question to you is, and I think you've answered it, but in case you haven't, the blessing I want to give you is that you should keep on going, because the more you keep on going, the more we got Jewish children coming. And, you know, from a funding point of view, I assume that you're always in need of funds to fund more. Is that correct? Is there any final message or statement that you'd want to say?
Yeah, I also want to acknowledge the mothers that I've met over the years. I have made many good friends along the way. And the Gemach doesn't only provide a breast pump to mothers in need. I also give the mothers guidance as to how to use the pump in the most effective way, and also to give the mothers peace of mind during a time in their life where they feel anxious. So if anyone needs a pump to feel comfortable to talk to me or advice, I don't like mothers to compare themselves to each other. I try to calm them down. Also, by the mothers knowing that they're using something so good, it helps them, because it's very important for a mother feeding their baby to be positive and to be in a good environment. So I like to give the mothers this encouragement from day one. Many times parents will come to my home leaving the hospital before they actually get to their home, so they can have exactly what their baby needs. Also, my pumps have the option of using batteries, or I have battery packs, or there's manual pumps as well. So when there is a power failure, load shedding, nothing can stop a mother from feeding their baby when it comes to my Gemach. I will make a plan no matter what. And I would also like to say thank you to Hashem, my husband, my children, my parents, my in-laws, my brother-in-laws, and the community for all the support in making sure that the Chaya Esther breast pump Gemach is what it is today, and that I am able to never say no to a mother that needs this help during such an important time in her life. And also may our Gemach continue to honor the memory of a special lady, Chaya Esther Tabak.
Yes, and Shira, just a final comment actually, which I'd like to read out from one of our viewers. Shira has also sent a pump to Israel, Colel Chabad. So well done on that, Shira. So, and yeah. Okay, absolutely. So Shira, yeah.
Israel. But I mainly manage the South African community, but should the needs arise, I'll do my best to make it happen.
Wonderful, great. And Shira, as I said, if anyone needs to get hold of you, I'm sure there are going to be tons of questions and inquiries. How's the best way? Do you want to do it through the base, or do you want Moshe to put up your contact details later on in the show?
Both.
Okay, we'll do both.
Yeah.
100%.
It all helps. No amount is too big or too small. It all adds up.
Wonderful. Okay, Shira, we'll come to you at the end just to say goodbye. But in the meantime, is there anything, final thoughts or comments that you'd like to say that you haven't thought of? You can always say it at the end if you need a bit of time to think.
I would like to say thank you again. And I would like any mother or expecting mother to know that they should never give up, and no one should ever tell them that they can't do something. I was told that I couldn't feed my twins, that it wasn't possible, and I was determined to prove them wrong. So no one must ever tell a mother that they can't do something until they've tried. And a part of managing the Gemach is giving the mothers the power to stand up for themselves and to do what they believe is right. And also, especially for the premature babies and their moms, they feel a connection to their baby. They feel like they're doing something for their baby while they're in hospital and they're at home. It's so important that not only the physical benefits, but the psychological benefits as well for mother and baby. So yeah, so thank you again for this opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shira. Yeah. Pleasure. And Colel Chabad for everything that you do, not only for us at the base community, but for this. And I must say, I genuinely had no idea that this even existed. So I'm sure that there are a heap load of people on this call and a heap load of people who are going in the future going to be made aware of this, and it's going to help a lot of people. So Colel Chabad, Shira, you should carry on your good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on, Monty, I actually, for once, I'm at a loss for words. I never know how to even start introducing you, Monty. You've given a lifetime of service to the Kehillah. And funny enough, today, when once the programming had gone out, two completely unsolicited from two completely separate people, the one phoned me and the other one contacted me. And I want to just read the one SMS that I got. Hi, Rob. I see Monty is speaking tonight. I don't know if you remember, but he's also the forerunner of the Jewish bookshops we have today. He imported Sforim and Jewish books of interest from overseas and sold them from his garage in Eckstein Street. Eckstein Street is Yeovil. He very quietly, his way of doing things, provided unavailable Jewish necessities to the Frum community in the very early days. I got a phone call from a guy a little bit older than me, an accounting, he's a CA, a chartered accountant. He said to me, Rob, I see you interviewing Monty tonight. I said, yes. He says, are you aware that when I was in yeshiva, that means him, when he was, I don't know what yeshiva he was in, that you used to give free accounts lessons at 4 o'clock in the afternoon at your garage at the bottom end of Lubotha. He said, Rob, just, can you imagine you taking in 4 o'clock in the afternoon, giving free accounts lessons to yeshiva bochrim? Well, that's what Monty did. So, why am I saying these two things, Monty? It's difficult to put a lifetime of chesed and a lifetime of contribution to the community in a program like this. But, the breadth of what you've done is just awe-inspiring. And as I said earlier, 30 years ago when I started out in communal work, you were my partner in it in the Gemach. It was an interest-free Gemach where we lent money to people, and you were there at that time. And I actually had no idea of these two pre-runners to what the work that we were doing. So, again, it's difficult for me even to know where to begin with. And I'm sure there's tons and tons of other stuff. So just for me, to you personally, just a big Colel Chabad to everything that you've done. And Hashem should bless you and your family with much bracha all the way. But tonight, I want to focus on Colel Chabad. Again, it's not a tzedakah that I myself am particularly familiar with. But before we even get into the questioning, and again, we're going to have plenty of time to give due justice to it, there is a video which I'd like to put up, which will really set the scene for the questions that are going to come forward.
When COVID-19 started to spread, the Israeli government reached out to us requesting our assistance to deliver groceries to Israel's elderly. We accepted the challenge. Colel Chabad has been a functioning charity for over 200 years since its founding by the Alter Rebbe in 1788. For this challenge, we brought on an additional 350 volunteers and employees to make sure this happens.
היום הבאתי מחברת הנמל 13 טון של אפונה ירוקה.
הבאתי סוכר 20 טון.
אנחנו כאן כדי לעזור.
My name is Moshe Corey. I serve in the Army. Right now I've got some time off, so I came to work here.
My name is Lior Ben Chaim, and I volunteer for Colel Chabad. I'm a photographer. I have a studio in Jerusalem. And now, because of the corona, so we do a grocery delivery to the elder people that can go and buy them themselves.
From the home of the Blavatnik Food Bank at the Slager warehouse in Kiryat Malachi, we are sending out 145 trucks. That's 1,990 pallets to 60 municipalities throughout Israel. That's 2,030 tons of food.
אני מרגיש חיבור, אני עוזר לאנשים שצריכים את זה, שאפשר לעזור, כל עוד אפשר לעזור לעוד יהודי ולעוד בן אדם. זה מאוד מאוד מרגש ועוזר.
Yesterday we gave an 84-year-old person a delivery. We realized that he was really lonely, and we actually spoke to him a few minutes, and I realized that just from giving someone a delivery and talking to him for a few minutes, you could really change his day. I serve in a place that's called Afra. It's right outside of Jerusalem. We protect the people there, make sure they're safe. when I have time off, I could protect Am Yisrael in a different way. And you give people food that they really, really need, and they're so happy to see you. It's an amazing thing.
It's fill up your heart. If you can do something for the community, for people, in this situation, in these days, it's amazing. Baruch Hashem.
Sure. Monty, good luck. I don't know how we do justice to an organization that's been around for 232 years. I'm going to repeat this just so that it can sink into all of our viewers. 232 years. I don't even think the South African community has been around for that long. So, Monty, we've got half an hour to do justice to 232 years. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to give it a good bash. Sure. Please just interrupt and just, let's do the best that we can do. I'm sure that this is a 2 hour that at minimum, but we're going to do the best. Okay. Established in 1788, I repeat, for the third time, 232 years. It's quite phenomenal. What is Colel Chabad?
Okay. Colel Chabad originated with the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Baal Tanya. Quite a few Lubavitch Hasidim went to live in Yerushalayim, and they survived off the money coming from Europe. The famous stories about so that was an original Colel, because those people were in full-time learning, teaching, whatever it is, so they needed support, which came from Europe. There's a page in the Tanya where the Rebbe says, however poor you are, you've got to put away something, even a kopek, for our brethren in Eretz Israel. So that was the original foundation of Colel Chabad. And in the modern
Sorry, Monty, can I just interrupt you for 10 seconds? Just literally for 15 seconds. Can you just, for the viewers who don't know, just explain what the Tanya is?
The Tanya is the main sefer that the Lubavitcher Rebbe wrote, bringing Kabbalah and Hasidus together, so that the person who's not well versed in these things can appreciate them and learn them. And it's the sort of main book on Hasidus today.
Right. So in this book is that sentence that you said. You just want to maybe repeat that sentence?
The Lubavitcher said that irrespective of how well off or poor you are, you've got to set aside a certain amount of your money that we will send to Eretz Israel. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe, well, one of the charges against the Lubavitcher Rebbe when he was Yud freed was that he was sending money to a foreign country, because Russia was at war with Turkey at the time. So it's quite a famous tzedakah, so to speak.
Yes. And this is when he was in Russia, is that correct?
Yeah, in Lubavitch itself, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we've now seen the video and we've seen a heap load of the good work that does. How does Colel Chabad distribute all the food it provides?
Okay, just I want to stress that there's no qualification for the person who's in need. Whoever comes gets. It doesn't matter if you from what community, what status, whatever it is. That's okay. And the providing of food, why you saw that highlighted there, for decades, they provide parcels for Pesach. When I was there about 9 years ago in the office watching, they sent to 20,000 people then, and they phoned each person to make sure they got their parcel. If not, they resend it. So the logistics they have, and the Israeli government needed to send out for COVID 90,000 extra parcels for Pesach, and they approached Colel Chabad. The government paid 90% of the funds, and we had to raise $300,000 for the other 10%. So that is one of the functions, but it is one of the many functions, as if you want to discuss later. So another important thing is they have these, I'll call it a restaurant, soup kitchen, but it's not it's in 20 cities in Israel, free meals for mainly people who are struggling. And they serve them with silver cutlery, with crockery. Not that there's, I get emotional when I speak about it. Yeah, okay. So if you go to Sfas, in the main center, drag of Sfas, there's a restaurant for these people. And at the Kotel, if you stand, you shouldn't, if you're back to the Kotel, you look at the upper level, there's a free eating place for there. And if I can digress, I was with a famous Rabbi, Moshe Weber. We davened at the Baal HaTanya Shir in Mashorim, and there's a restaurant right next to the shul. So after davening, we went into the shul, and you see parents with children. Sure, I get emotional. That they're cared for, that they've got a place where they're treated with dignity. Oh, excuse me, okay, you carry on.
No problem. Monty, and as the rabbi said in the introduction when he was giving his vot, that when you're doing chesed, it's as important the manner in which you you do the chesed as opposed to what you actually give. And it's quite clear that Colel Chabad, the manner in Colel Chabad is overridingly important. Just on a factual point, Monty, and I know you did mention Tzfat, and we have seen Yerushalayim in the video. Just is Colel Chabad across all of Israel, or focused on Yerushalayim and Tzfat?
Yeah, no, that warehouse that you saw is 9,000 square meters. It's in Kiryat Gat. It's in the south of Israel.
Wow.
And they distribute from there. And the south is generally not as affluent as the north.
Yes.
In most countries. And that's why they based it there in Kiryat Gat. And another story, in this kitchen in Mashorim, there's like a gondola on a silver thing. Young schoolgirls, when they come home from school lunchtime, they pick up parcels and they deliver it to old people who cannot get out to feed themselves. And, it's just amazing.
It's amazing. It really, kol hakavod, it's an absolutely amazing tzedakah. And as you speak, Monty, I myself am learning because, I don't know much about it, but I have seen the pushkas, and at the end, I'd just like you to hold up the pushkas so that we can all, because I'm seeing a lot of us have seen the pushkas. Well, why don't you do it right now? There we go. That's the pushkas for Colel Chabad. I'm sure a lot of our viewers have seen it all over. And
that's some of the things that it does.
Yeah. All right, Monty, in terms, so we've spoken about food. Let's talk now about medicine, MS, dental clinics. You want to just talk a little bit about the services provided for that?
There was one multiple sclerosis clinic in North Israel which closed down, and Colel Chabad decided that they're going to take it over, which they did. They resurrected it, and I think it was last year, they opened a clinic in the center of Jerusalem. I think it cost them about $25 million. The state-of-the-art, a three-story building. The original building was a Merkaz Klita for Mizrahi girls when they made Aliyah to Israel. And it was empty, so they bought it and they revamped it. The architect for they do everything mamish properly. The architect for the Knesset was the architect who redid this MS thing. Now, there's another video if people want to go onto the Colel Chabad website. Now, I don't know if you realize, if you're in a family and they don't have domestic help, there's somebody who's got this problem, they need 24-hour attention. The whole family is really under pressure. And so what they do is they take these people in their wheelchairs, they fetch them with their own vehicles, etc., and they entertain them. They feed them 3 meals a day. The volunteers come in. They've got professional staff, and they do activities with them. And in the video, you'll see they make Chanukias, which are distributed throughout Israel as their sort of work that they do. So they run these 2 MS centers. They've got a dental clinic in Mashorim, free dental clinic. The dentists come voluntarily. There are 3 chairs in the dental clinic. And they've got 4 mobile dental clinics, which go right throughout Israel. And it just it goes on and on what they do.
Amazing, amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Monty, one of the biggest mitzvahs in the Torah, it said many, many times, I think over 100 times, is to look after a ger, a yosem, and an almona, a stranger, the convert, a widow, and an orphan. And I know that, in speaking to you earlier, that Colel Chabad helps orphans and widows, acknowledge orphan, bar and bat mitzvahs. Can you just spend a little bit of time talking about that? I think that's a topic that talks to each and every single person on this show, without a doubt.
I was there many years ago at the office of Colel Chabad in Shorim, and I always pop in to see Rabbi Moshe Shmuel Deutsch. He's got a little office. He runs his whole organization from a tiny office there. And he said, just if you take a walk out to the office, you go up to the attic. You'll see there's another activity we do. So I go into the attic. There's an old good rabbi sitting there and a young fellow who knew some of our guys from Johannesburg. And they've got files on every victim of terror, every tragic death. They follow up that the kids have the psychological help, that they get their books for school, that they, whatever assistance they need, they follow them through to matric, etc., etc. And then you see they have this bar mitzvah celebration at the Kotel, which the prime minister has them in his office in the Knesset. And they do the bat mitzvahs as well. And it's very, very, and if you look at the pictures, I've got this, I'll show you some pictures now. It's across the board that these are kids who don't even know they've been into shul before, and they get the tefillin, everything laid on. It's amazing.
Sure. They can show the picture.
Can they show the picture?
It's amazing. Mosh, can we show the picture of these bar and bat mitzvah girls, please? Here we go.
No, I just have the boys.
We just got the boys. Okay, let's just pause on this just so that our viewers can just take in the scene over here. Shame. And these are all orphan boys, eh?
Some of them, the fathers commit suicide. It's really very, very tragic. And they look after these kids through till they're on their feet, which is amazing.
And I assume, Monty, that all these boys are taught bar mitzvah by someone at Colel Chabad.
In their local community, wherever they are, Colel Chabad pays for it, that they are able to perform the service. So the Hebrews are okay for them because they're Baruch Hashem, they're Hebrew speaking, so they pick it up very quickly. And they have this massive ceremony at the Kotel. And Baruch Hashem, other groups now in Israel have done the same thing. It's become quite an important thing for across the board. So
sure. Remarkable. Yeah. Let's go on to dignified weddings now. And I know that to enable a bride to get married, Hachnosas Kala is a very, very, very important mitzvah. And in fact, in the morning brochas, in the order of the morning brochas, it goes Hachnosas Orchim, Hachnosas Kala Halvayas Ameis. It means you. What actually goes Hachnos Orchim, Hachnosas Bika Cholim, Hachnosas Kala Halvayas Ameis. It means you welcome the stranger, you welcome into your house. you visit the sick, you help a bride get married, and then you escort the dead. And it's brought out, why does Hachnosis Kala come between Bikur Cholim and Hachnosis and Halvas Hamet? It makes more sense to go welcome the stranger to your house, get them married, then you become sick, and then you die. And it's brought out that Hachnosis Kala separates Bikur Cholim from death. So giving tzedakah to Hachnosis Kala fund, Lo Aleini, when a person's very sick, is meant to stop them going from very sick to dead. And now Colel Chabad do even that, help people get married.
Yeah, in Gemach in Yerushalayim, there are two Colel Chabad halls, which they provide everything for the wedding, the flowers, everything, whatever they do thoroughly. The food they supply is berevach, like plenty, etc., and the chuppah, the whole thing. And they started this about 25 years ago. They did it at almost at cost price because it was getting out of hand, the prices for the community. And they were the first people to do it. And now all the communities have low budget weddings, but they don't spare things. It's not overboard, but it's nothing spared. And Colel Chabad run two of these halls. They were, as I say, started this. And my daughter Viva got married there 21 years ago at the Colel Chabad the hall. And it's another thing that they do all the time. And if anybody needs a date, I have Protector with Deutsch, so I get preference for Chassidus. So if you've got children getting married in Israel, I can help.
Wonderful. So, Monty, up until this point in time, we've spoken about food, we've spoken about medicine, we've spoken about assisting almonas and yasoimim. We've spoken about Hachnosis Kala. I suppose the natural progression to all of that is, a person one day dies, and there's even assistance in saying Kaddish for the departed at Colel Chabad.
Yeah, I'm using it right now. My brother passed away. I came out of Shloshim just recently. Excuse me. And
we wish you Arichas Yomim, Monty. His neshama should have an aliyah.
Amen. And so he only had daughters, and he doesn't have a son to say Kaddish. And I've arranged through Colel Chabad that someone says Kaddish for him all the time. And so it's, it covers so many, the spectrum of Jewish life. And again, stressing that there's no questions asked, who the person was, what's their background. A Jew is a Jew, that's it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Monty, we also have Colel Chabad calendars. I know we've got a picture of the calendar. Maybe you just want to talk a little bit about the calendar. There we go.
Okay, that's the Luach. And it's got all the minhagim per month, per day for davening. It's got a lot of introductory essays, etc., on Chesed and on the importance of doing Chesed from various rabbeim. And I have stock here. Once a year they send it to me. And it's a guide, and especially now with the COVID, when we went davening with a minyan, one isn't sure when you're on your own, you haven't got the rabbi to ask, do I say Tachman today, or etc., etc. So that's another thing that's provided in Hebrew and in English. And this goes back also many, many, many years. Distributed
now, Monty, I'm sure that people are going to want to get hold of this Luach. Again, can we put your number up at the end? Is that the way to get about it? And I hope you've got stock. Is that correct? Yeah, assuming you do?
Yes, I got it. Yeah, right here.
Wonderful. Will you put one aside for me, please? Can I be the first?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Monty, I couldn't help myself but mention the pushkas because I only now really getting a feel for what it really does. But again, can you maybe just hold up the pushkas again and just talk about the pushkas? How do they assist in fundraising? You know, what's the story there?
Basically,
I know we've got a picture of people counting pushkas as well.
Do you want to put it up? It's my staff.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
It's amazing, you know, the staff, they count this money and they can't believe, they can't sense. And these Jewish people are sending money to poor people and not poor people to feed them in Israel or to help them. You know, it's a Kiddush Hashem for the Goyim to see it anyway. So, but to them, it's like a mission. They're like so proud of what they're doing anyway.
Yes.
I have pushkas. But by the way, I've never promoted Colel Chabad. It's been totally, people have come forward on their own. It's you know, etc. A lot of people have on the pushka. I've got the banking details. They put the debit orders, whatever it is. But I've never canvassed, etc. And Baruch Hashem, we send a very large amount through to Israel over the last 40 years. I've been writing for 40 years. And just as a point, the organization is run from, that's is run from America by Rabbi Shalom Duchman. And he has a dinner once a year at the Hilton in New York. And he puts up on the screen the balance sheet of Colel Chabad, every single dollar that was spent on all these activities, and which I think is a very, very noble thing for an organization to do.
Yes. Monty, just a question, and that is, we've spoken about Colel Chabad in Israel. Does Colel Chabad exist in any other parts of the world?
My son, Ari, who got married in Australia and was there a shaliach for 2 years, tells me that there's someone who does it there. I do this totally voluntarily. Apparently he does it for a bit of parnosa. And I think we're virtually the only country that sends their money outside.
No, my question is a different question. My question is does Colel Chabad's activities exist as activities in other parts of the world?
No, it's purely an Israeli activity. And I'm sure, I know I've, a lot of South Africans I've have made them, the chasanas at Colel Chabad function. You know, I've really, in the different ways, can't say, you know, because it's very sensitive, but it's helped a lot of ex-South Africans in Israel through my auspices as well.
Yeah, you know, I think maybe an indirect story. I was once in Buenos Aires, and I was it was Mincha, and I was in a shul there, and I got a bit of a fright. There were a whole lot of very, very, very poor kids in the shul. I'd never seen Jewish kids looking like this, and the rabbi could see I was a little bit startled. He comes up to me and says, "Listen, I can see you a little bit startled," and we started speaking. Those were the Jewish orphans of Buenos Aires. And what had happened was that the Chabad movement in Buenos Aires, they look after the Jewish orphans, because if they don't, then the Jewish orphans will be taken to a state orphanage, which is run by the Catholic Church. And on a similar basis, after listening to you, Monty, what Colel Chabad do, feeding, looking after orphan children in everything that you've described, you know, to a lesser degree, the Chabad Kehila in Buenos Aires does the same thing for the Jewish orphans of Buenos Aires. So perhaps there's learnings from Colel Chabad in Israel there.
But I think us as a South African community hold our heads very high, because we look after everybody. Colel Chabad has outdone what South Africans do themselves, I think, in South Africa. Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, for sure, Monty, for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Monty, I know, you know, every participant on this show, COVID affects directly, and I always ask my final question before giving back to you for comment is, you know, what has the impact on COVID been on the organization?
funnily enough, our shul has 10 pushkas every morning, and I'm the shamus of the shul, and I put them out, I put them away. But because people haven't had access to many other pushkas, they've been using the Colel Chabad pushka more than previously. So I've had, Baruch Hashem, when we had this call for that, to raise that $300,000, I did mention to the guys, because it was on a video from Aracheva, and people came forward amazingly from South Africa to help, so that's, so that was COVID related. That's the one experience I had.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Monty, we've covered a lot of topics, albeit very, very quickly. It will be remiss of me not to ask you just to pause now. I know that we've spent the better part of half an hour going through the activities of a tzedakah organization that's been going on for nearly 250 years. And I can't not stress that point. Is there any final thoughts or comments that you'd like to make before I sum up?
Just that there's a label on the pushka says charity of Meir Baal HaNes. I don't know if you know the background to Meir Baal HaNes. He did amazing miracles in Yerushalayim for people. And
Monty, can you put the pushka so we can actually see where it's written, so the people looking forward can now know exactly where to look?
Okay.
There. Am I getting it?
Kupat Rabbi.
Go a little bit back.
There. Rabbi Meir.
Meir HaNes. He's the master.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Got it.
Got it. Right on the top. 100%. We got it. Right.
Yeah. And it's almost every tzedakah in Israel has got that label on it. This is the only pushka in Johannesburg that's got the label on it. And mainly Sephardim are very sensitive. They sort of come knocking at my door. Can I get a Meir Baal HaNes pushka?
Did you lose something?
Yeah, there's a famous story. If one loses something, I tell people, just put money in the Colel Chabad pushka and you will find it. And the amazing stories, if I can tell a quick story,
Sure, you can, absolutely.
Shraga Faber Jamison from Aquazania, he had a non-Jewish partner, and there were some major documents they couldn't find. So he said to his partner, he said, put money in this tin and you'll find it. Within minutes, they found the document. So what he did is he cut open one of these big plastic water containers, and the staff have to put money in there for Colel Chabad. So it's quite funny. So Koppelbacher, you mentioned Koppelbacher had some guests staying by him, and the lady lost her wedding ring. And he said, put money in the pushka. And they went for a walk, her and her husband, in Urania Street, and they found it just outside the door. The wedding. It's an amazing thing. So that's a sales pitch. Yeah.
It's amazing. Monty and Shira, it's been my absolute delight talking to you tonight. I will say that it's particularly special interviewing a father who has, without a doubt, passed on his passion for chesed and tzedakah to his daughter. And it's particularly pleasing for me personally, 30 years later, Shira, to see you doing chesed, knowing that you've learned and your dad has passed it on. Kol hakavod, you're an example to the entire kahila. And one thing that you both... Sorry, what you say, Monty?
Making us blush.
And the one thing which is very, very clear is the passion and the feeling of how the two of you do chesed. You don't just do it by rote. It's not just a tick box exercise. You feel, and it's quite clear, especially of how emotional that you got, how you feel the pain of each and every single Jew. And my concluding bracha to both of you is the Eibishter should give you the koyach to carry on the Halika work that you do, and only good things. And Monty, once again, you should have a happy birthday, brachas only, and enjoy your special day with your special.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Very much. Zag is it. Good.
Rabbi, you too, Monty. Rabbi, over to you.
Thanks, Rob. Shukar to you. On a personal note, and on behalf of the organizing group of this series, Sol, and the whole base community, and in fact, the whole Jewish community, I want to say a very big thank you to Shira Silberman and to Monty Arenstein for allowing us this opportunity. Shira, thank you not only for this window into some of what you do, but to both Dovi and yourself for always being willing to step forward in the context of our community. A very big thank you. To see both of yours, Ahavas Chesed, love of Chesed, hearing about what you do and how you do it, it's truly a Kiddush Hashem and beyond special. It's again truly an indication of the uniqueness and special nature of our community. And to see this manifest on a multi-generational level is really, really beautiful. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should continue to bless you both and your wonderful families with much bracha and atzlocha, that you should be able to continue to do the most important work that you do and much more.
Amen.
There's certain thank yous and acknowledgements that are most necessary as always. And I want to mention and thank our partners in the series Sol, run by Kate Gershuni and Robin Smukla and Josh Sevitz. Thank you to each of you for this partnership and for all that you do. And to Rob Katz, thank you as always. Really, I have no words to say thank you. But nonetheless, thank you as always. The time, effort, and care you put into our special community is beyond appreciated. Thank you to Ariel Weber for all that you do. The series wouldn't be what it is without your involvement and organization behind the scenes. I also want to take the opportunity once again to say thank you to my brother Moshe for all that he does, and to Jonamo Tech that bring these webinars to life. We really could not do this without you. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Keep safe and have a great night.